Incredible transformation, single dad's heartwarming rescue of beaten woman and child police expose. Jason stood in the glaring lights of the auto body shop, his hands stained with grease but his heart clean and pure. Each evening, he punched out after long hours, shoulders heavy not just from labor but from the weight of family responsibility. He thought about Ethan and Mia, waiting for him at home with their giggles and wild ideas. Those two kids were his world. As he took the scenic route through his quaint Midwestern town, familiar homes bathed in golden sunlight, he felt rich in a way that money could never measure. But that calm afternoon shattered when he heard raised voices, an urgency that shot through him like a jolt. Following the sound, he found himself in a dimly lit alley where shadows danced without permission. A woman named Maria faced down an angry figure, terror etched across her features. Behind a trash bin, her small child peered out, eyes wide with fear. The sight twisted Jason's heart. Thoughts of his own kids shot to the forefront. How could anyone stand by and let this happen? As he stepped forward, adrenaline coursed through him. Protecting the innocent felt like second nature. "Hey, leave her alone." His voice rang out, firm and resolute. Yet, the overwhelming reality collided with hope. The local police strolled by, indifferent, their eyes averted. He could taste the injustice, the bitter reminder that Maria was an immigrant, and that alone was enough to overlook her plight. This moment ignited something in Jason, a fire of disbelief and outrage. Fearlessly, he turned to rally support, reaching out to neighbors, friends, local organizations. But not everyone shared his view. Some folks clung to misguided beliefs about race and family. Conversations erupted from quiet streets and stoops, some murmuring solidarity while others cast sullen glares. Tension buzzed in the air, thick and palpable. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Back at home, the weight on Jason's shoulders felt heavier. Ethan and Mia sensed the turmoil. Their innocent smiles now carried an undercurrent of confusion, fears seeped into their dreams. It was hard enough struggling to make ends meet at the shop. Now, he was battling a town divided by prejudice and fear. As thoughts of Maria's terrified gaze haunted him, Jason knew he stood at a crossroads, his heart pounding. Would his fight for truth and justice threaten the safety of his own family? Voices grew louder, the days became darker, and tension reached fever pitch with a crucial confrontation nearing. He could feel the storm brewing just outside his door. The whispers hung thick in the air, promises of change simmering alongside hate. Could the town finally reclaim its heart? Or were they destined to remain shackled by the past? It was a moment of reckoning for every family, every individual. Jason stood firm, ready to face whatever came next, the stakes higher than ever before. What he didn't anticipate was how this fight would shape not only Maria and her child but also his own family. And with the echo of hope ringing around the corner, Jason took a deep breath, preparing for the battle of his life. The days turned into nights, and the tension in the town felt as thick as fog. Jason could sense it everywhere, at the grocery store, in the park, even in the whispers that floated through the school hallways where Ethan and Mia spent their days. The children deserved better than this murky undertow of fear. It hung heavy on their hearts, too young to understand why their father was out there fighting battles that seemed larger than life. Home was supposed to be a refuge, but as Jason tucked Ethan and Mia into bed, soft light from their nightlights illuminated the worry lines etched on his face. "Dad, are we okay?" Ethan asked, his small voice slicing through the silence. Jason hesitated, torn between reassurance and truth. How could he promise safety when the world outside felt so unpredictable? He offered a smile instead, hoping it would ease the knot forming in his stomach. "Always, buddy. Always." But as the door clicked shut, doubt crept back in. What if the struggle he faced didn't just involve Maria? What if it turned into a fight for his kids, too? The thought gnawed at him, a relentless whisper that wouldn't relent. He sat on the edge of the couch, staring at the stack of papers, petitions he had printed out. They were signatures of support, faces of neighbors, those willing to stand against the tide of ignorance. Most were familiar, but others were surprises, signaling a spark of empathy in unexpected places. With the dawn came a renewed sense of purpose. Jason gathered himself and met the growing group outside the town hall. The flicker of hope soared as they began to rally together. Signs were being made, voices were amplified, everyone ached for change. "We want justice," someone shouted, and the crowd echoed a crescendo of hope. Jason felt it circulating around him, lifting him higher. Yet, with every positive step came stark reminders of the reality they were forcing against. The hostility from some of the townsfolk simmered just beneath the surface. Their resistance, raw and ready to ignite, felt like a volcano. Jason spotted a few familiar faces, sneering and whispering, a palpable threat to the kindness they were trying to spread. It was the perfect storm, one that could rip through the fragile bonds they were forging. As the speaker at the podium continued, Jason's thoughts drifted back to Maria. The image of her frightened eyes haunted him. If she trusted him, what could he do to make certain she knew she wasn't alone? She was as much a part of this town as anyone else, yet so many acted like she was invisible. They wouldn't allow their past to overshadow the bright future they could have together. That night, inspiration struck. A community meeting was necessary, a safe space for sharing stories and building understanding. He took a deep breath, a plan forming in his mind. He would arrange it, gather everyone, find a way to bridge the chasm of fear separating the community. But doubts rolled in like heavy clouds. What if no one showed? What if it spiraled into chaos? The tightening grip of anxiety kept Jason awake that night, ticking seconds stretching into hours. By dawn, he had made a decision to call Maria. They needed to unite their voices, woven together like threads in a vibrant tapestry. As the phone rang, a wave of nerves washed over him. He wanted to be the voice she could lean on. But as she answered, the unmistakable sound of distress startled him. "Jason." "They found me." A chill gripped his spine. What did she mean? His heart raced, a new storm brewing, more intense than any he had faced. Would he truly be able to protect her? Jason's grip on the phone tightened. This was the beginning of something big, and the stakes had just risen higher than he ever imagined. What would happen next? Jason's breath hitched as his mind raced. "What do you mean they found you?" He could barely keep his voice steady. Thoughts of Maria in danger twisted like blades in his stomach. "I can't explain right now," she whispered, her voice trembling. "They've been watching me. I need to hide." Panic clashed with determination. Jason clenched his fists, feeling a surge of helplessness. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. They had a plan, hopes dangling just out of reach. "Where are you?" "I'll come get you. Just tell me where you are." "I can't. It's not safe, Maria." He interrupted, desperation creeping in. "Please, it's going to be okay. I need you to trust me. If they've found you, I will do whatever it takes to help." There was a pause, a tiny crack in the wall of her fear where hope could seep in. "I'm at the old playground, you remember? The one with the swing set." He nodded even though she couldn't see. "I'm on my way." Jason hung up, the weight of the call crashing over him. The playground was only a few blocks away, but the path there felt like a marathon. Each footfall drummed against his fear, fueling his urgency. What had happened? Who had found her? Strangers? Someone local? His resolve sharpened as he sprinted out the door, determination digging deeper into his bones. The sun hung low in the sky as he raced down the streets. The playground came into view, but the moment he arrived, a knot twisted in his stomach. It was quiet, eerily so. The rusting playground equipment loomed like sentinels, but Maria was nowhere to be seen. "Maria!" he called, his voice bouncing off the empty swings and slides. Silence swallowed him whole. The anguish gnawed at him, his mind screamed for her to answer. There was movement in the shadows, and Jason's heart raced with hope. But it was just a stray cat darting from one overgrown bush to another. Anxiety pooled in his chest. Had he waited too long? Was she gone? He stepped further into the playground, peering around. That's when he saw it, a shoe, half buried in the underbrush, and his heart lurched. It was hers. Maria. His voice cracked, closer to a plea now. He rushed through the weeds, desperately searching, any sign of her. An echo of laughter drifted on the wind, but it was gone faster than it had come, like a mirage. He kept his fear at bay, pushing forward, refusing to let it consume him. Jason's eyes landed on the slide, drenched in shadows. He knelt down for a better look, scanning every inch. Then, a subdued sob tugged at his heart. It came from behind the slide, low and broken. "Maria?" he whispered, his voice trembling. A soft moan answered him, and he crawled forward, finding her curled up, trembling. Relief rushed through him, bittersweet like a heavy bomb. "Oh, thank God," he exclaimed, reaching out without hesitation. She looked up, eyes wide and filled with anguish. "Jason, they weren't just looking for me." He recoiled slightly, confusion rippling through him. "What do you mean?" "They know about Ethan and Mia. They'll come for them." The room around him spun as dread sank its claws into his heart. In that moment, Jason understood exactly what was at stake now. This wasn't just about Maria anymore, his children's safety was on the line too. "Then we have to protect them together." Jason grasped her hand firmly, strength flooding back into him. "We can't let them win." But as they rose, the world outside felt even more threatening. They had fought to come this far, but now the real confrontation lay ahead. With every step they took into the future, it became clear, Jason was fighting for much more than justice. He was fighting to keep his family safe. How could they prepare for what was to come when the darkness loomed just beyond the horizon? Jason tightened his grip on Maria's hand, the connection grounding him amidst the chaos. The gravity of their situation weighed heavily on him. He could feel the urgency of time slipping like sand through his fingers. "We need to move," he urged, scanning the playground one last time. Shadows lurked, but they couldn't linger. "Where?" Maria asked, vulnerable and shaken, her eyes darting around as if danger waited at every turn. "Anywhere but here. My place isn't safe either, but there's a car parked a few blocks away. We can think better once we're out of this area." He nudged her gently forward, their footsteps whispering against the cracked pavement. Each step felt like a sprint against time and uncertainty, building a quiet tension between them. They walked in silence, the weight of unspoken fears hanging in the air. As they turned the corner, Jason's heart raced at the sight of his old car. It was nothing fancy, a battered sedan from more carefree days, but it had gotten them through tough times. "In here," he urged, throwing open the door and ushering her inside. Once he slid into the driver's seat, Jason took a moment to collect himself. "Okay," he said, running his hands over the steering wheel. "Let's start from the beginning. What do you know?" Maria hesitated, her breath hitching. "I don't know much, only that they've been following me for weeks. I didn't think they knew anything about Ethan and Mia, but I was wrong." Jason turned the key in the ignition. The engine sputtered, coughing to life. "Do you know who they are? What they want?" Her gaze fell to her lap, the anguish etched across her face deepening. "I think they're connected to someone I used to know. Someone I thought I left behind." With a heavy sigh, he put the car into drive. "We'll figure this out, together. But I need you to promise me you can't shut me out. We need to trust each other." She nodded slowly, a flicker of determination igniting in her eyes. Okay. I promise. Jason pulled onto the road, anticipation winding through him. He could almost see their path ahead, but shadows loomed like dark clouds, casting doubts on their progress. The world seemed heavier, and he felt the weight of the lives he was responsible for. We'll get Ethan and Mia. I'll find a safe place for all of us. A brief silence engulfed them, until Maria broke it. What if they don't just come for me? What if they come for the kids? The thought pierced Jason like an arrow, penetrating the defenses he was trying to construct. Then we need to get to them first. I can't lose anyone, not again. His voice cracked at the admission, memories flooding his mind, lost moments, pain that lingered like an unwelcome guest. Maria placed a hand on his arm, her touch bringing a flicker of warmth. When Ethan and Mia found out about my past, they were scared, she admitted softly. I never wanted them to live in fear. If they knew now, if those people came after them, her voice trailed off, pain suffocating hope. We'll make sure they don't. With a surge of determination, Jason pressed on the gas, the engine roaring as they escaped the playground. Every block they crossed pulled him further from dread and closer to action. But as he drove, Jason felt a chill creep up his spine. Who were these people? What did they want? And how much danger were his children truly in? Just as these thoughts enveloped him, an unsettling feeling struck. Was he being followed? A pair of headlights cut into the darkness behind them, gaining speed. His pulse quickened, dread pooling in the pit of his stomach. Jason, what's wrong? Maria's voice rose, alarm filling her features. Hold on, he replied, fear bubbling under the surface. I think we've got company. Before he could make a decision, he glanced in the rearview mirror, the outline of a sleek vehicle giving chase. His heart raced, and he pressed the pedal harder. This was no longer just about saving Maria, it was about survival. As they wound through back roads, inching closer to an uncertain fate, Jason knew one thing: he would fight fiercely for the ones he loved. But little did he know. The pursuit was only the beginning. Jason's breath hitched. The headlights behind them were indiscernible shadows, a predator lurking in the night. He tightened his grip on the steering wheel and flicked the car into a series of quick turns, seeking to lose their pursuer. Each twist and turn felt like a gamble. Would the next corner provide salvation or a trap? Jason, please. Maria's voice cut through his frantic thoughts. What if they catch us? Her fear ignited a rush of adrenaline. They won't, he promised, though doubt crept into his mind. The road before them seemed endless, but those headlights were relentless, proportional to his rising anxiety. As Jason maneuvered the car, Maria began to speak, her words tumbling out, raw and frantic. I thought I could leave all of this behind. But they don't just stop, they won't let me go. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, and he felt her pain seep into his chest. Look at me, he said, trying to stay focused. We're going to get through this. We'll figure it out. He needed to exude confidence for both their sakes, even as uncertainty clawed at him. Maria glanced at him, and the trust in her gaze fortified his resolve. What do they want from me, Jason? He focused on the road ahead, where the darkness occasionally yielded to the flicker of distant streetlights. I don't know, but whatever it is, we'll put it behind us. Just keep your head down. Suddenly, the distant sirens echoed through the night, slicing the stillness. Relief washed over him momentarily, but then it clawed at his gut. They must not have seen us. If they're after you, we can't let them find us first. Just then, the car behind them revved, speeding up with a determination as fierce as his own. The glow of the headlights intensified, a reminder that danger was all too close. Hold on. Jason yelled as he accelerated, the engine roaring in protest as they hurtled down the road. Where are we going? Maria gasped, panic licking the edges of her voice. I know a place, a safe house. He could have kicked himself for not thinking about it sooner. It was a run-down rental he hadn't visited in years, tucked away in an old neighborhood. It felt like a risk, but at that moment, anything felt better than the encroaching headlights. As the roads blurred under his tires, Jason felt a flicker of hope. But it was mingled with fear, pushing him harder. Was it too late? Is that car still behind us? Maria's words were firm but shaky, her gaze still fixed on the rearview mirror. Yeah. He felt the weight of her fear. But we can lose them if we can just make it a bit further. Just as those words left his lips, the car behind him surged closer, the driver clearly intent on closing the distance. Jason's heart raced faster than the wheels on the pavement. Keep your head down. He barked as he switched lanes, weaving through traffic. The headlights persisted, drawing nearer, framing an uncertain future. He couldn't let them catch up. Sweet images of Ethan and Mia flickered through his mind, Ethan laughing at cartoons, Mia's joyous smile as she splashed in puddles. They needed him. They needed safety. The sound of tires screeching echoed behind them, the angry growls of the chasing car mingling with sirens. Jason! Maria shouted, clutching the seat tightly as they took another hard turn. His pulse pounded in his ears. Frustration boiled. I want to let them take you from me. As the last shreds of hope merged with desperation, he slammed the gas pedal down, feeling the car shift forward and dig deep into its tired frame. Suddenly, a sharp turn beckoned. Jason, we can't. Trust me. He shouted, hoping he was right. He veered off the main road, feeling the resistance as the car hit gravel. For a brief moment, the headlights lurked behind them, uncertain, confused. But could they truly escape? The chase accelerated, the world outside a blur as he fought the trepidation, anchoring himself to the key truth: no matter what, he would not let either of them down. But that truth was up against a growing storm, one that may test not just his resolve, but the very fabric of their lives. As they slipped further into the night, Jason knew he had to brace for the impending impact, for the shadows were closing in. The gravel crunched under the tires as Jason guided the car along the secluded dirt road. Trees loomed on either side, their branches forming a dark canopy above them. He glanced again at the rearview mirror, his heart sinking as the headlights reappeared, a haunting glow pursuing them through the night. Jason, we can't keep this up. Maria cried, her voice tinged with panic. She shifted in her seat, trying to peer through the side window, searching for any sign of escape. We will, he insisted, though his mind raced. Each second felt like an eternity. They needed to reach the safe house. It was supposed to be a refuge, a moment to breathe, to regroup. Was it still there? Would it still be an option? The road ahead bent sharply, and he took the turn wide, hoping the pursuing car would hesitate. They skidded and he felt the weight shift, but he pressed on, adrenaline fueling his determination. I thought you said it was close, Maria said, her voice low, barely masking her building dread. It is. He clenched his jaw. Just a little bit further. Trust me, Maria. The conviction in his voice was stronger than the fear coiling in his stomach, and he willed it to infect her too. Behind them, the roar of the engine grew louder, the pursuing car relentless. Jason had to shake them off. He needed to think, to outsmart whoever was behind those lights. An idea flickered in his mind as he approached a fork in the road. One signaled the return to civilization, and the other led deeper into the woods. It felt like a coin toss, but he had to act. Left or right? He asked, his voice steadier than he felt. Left. That's the way to town. Maria's eyes were wide, desperation bleeding into her voice. Not the answer I wanted, Jason muttered. He veered right, slamming the wheel, and pressed the gas harder than before. What are you doing? She gasped, gripping her seat. Making us harder to follow. He hoped it was true. The underbrush thickened as they plunged deeper into the woods. The shadows enveloped them, swallowing the car whole. Jason could barely see the road ahead, he relied on instinct, the familiar rhythm of steering clear from danger. The headlights from behind wavered and dimmed, their owner struggling to navigate the rough terrain. "Jason!" Maria called, alarm flashing in her eyes. What if they? Before she could finish, a flash of bright light cut through the trees, momentarily blinding him. He instinctively swerved, but his grip faltered on the wheel as a branch cracked across the windshield, sending shards flying. "Stay down!" he shouted. He could feel panic fraying at the edges of his sanity. The car jolted but didn't stop. They were still moving, the momentum carrying them through the tangled path. Thank goodness. He flicked the windshield wipers, they barely functioned, struggling against the chaos. "I thought we were safe." Maria's voice trembled with fear. "There's a shack up here." He spotted a silhouette through the trees, a glimpse of hope. He could hear the other car careening behind them, tires slipping on gravel, but he was determined not to let that fear stop him. He was going to give up. "Almost there," he urged. Just as they approached the shack, Jason skidded to a halt, the vehicle jolting violently as if it came to life. He threw open the door before the engine had completely died, his heart pounding in his chest. "Quick, get inside." Maria hesitated for a second, fear clinging to her features, but when she looked back and saw the headlights emerging, she bolted, urgency fueling her steps as she scrambled out. With one final glance, Jason locked the door behind them the moment she stumbled inside. Their chests heaved with desperation, hearts racing, both breathless for very different reasons. "Now what?" Maria whispered, her voice trembling in the dark. He listened, the sounds of pursuing footsteps thrumming outside. "We wait," he replied, though uncertainty gnawed at the corners of his mind. Suddenly, a noise pierced through the constant rhythm of their fear, a loud thump on the door, followed by a voice, low and filled with menace. "We know you're in there, Maria." A chill ran down Jason's spine. Who were they? He turned to Maria, her eyes wide with terror. "What do we do now?" The question hung heavily in the air, and as the darkness closed in, Jason knew it was time to uncover just how deep the danger went. The magnitude of their situation had just begun to unfold. Maria's breath came in quick, shallow gasps. The voice outside sent waves of fear crashing over her. She pressed her back against the wall, her hands slick against the cold wood. Panic flickered in her eyes, and Jason could feel the tension radiating between them. "Who is it?" he whispered, though the answer felt obvious. Whoever it was, they were not here for a friendly chat. She shook her head, the fear turning her voice into a quivering whisper. "I don't know. I've seen those men before. They're bad news." Bad news was an understatement. Jason's mind raced, calculating their options. They could hide, but for how long? The shouts from the outside grew louder, more demanding, as fear mingled with anger. He couldn't let the darkness outside swallow them whole. "Maybe we can escape through the back," Jason suggested, trying to stay calm even as his heart raced. He felt responsible for Maria, for her safety, and he wouldn't let her down. "Are you crazy?" Her eyes widened. "What if they see us?" "They won't if we're careful," he insisted, urgency slicing through his words. Every second mattered. He forced himself to focus, taking a deep breath to steady his trembling hands. "If we get out now, they might not realize until it's too late." Reluctantly, she glanced toward the back door, torn between fear and a desperate hope for freedom. "Okay," Maria finally agreed, voice steadying, though doubt still creased her brow. Jason nodded, appreciating her courage. He moved carefully, inching toward the back, every noise magnified in the thick tension. With a quick twist, he turned the knob, and the door creaked open just wide enough for them to slip through. Outside, the night air was sharp against his skin. They stood still for a moment, listening. The voice still echoed from the front, demanding to be let in, filled with rage. They needed distance. "Let us go," he urged, taking her hand. They darted out into the narrow, dark path behind the shack. The trees stretched like dark sentinels around them, their branches whispering secrets in the breeze. Jason led Maria deeper into the woods, away from the crying demands behind them. "Do you know where we're going?" Maria asked, her tone anxious but trusting. "Somewhere safe," Jason replied, trying to sound confident. But with every step, he felt the weight of uncertainty. They could be running in circles, and the woods felt endless, filled with both looming shadows and unseen dangers. As they pressed forward, branches snapped underfoot, echoing their movement. The night seemed to tease them with opportunities to turn back, but they couldn't. Light from the shack filtered behind them briefly like the fading heartbeat of a falling world. "Jason," Maria suddenly stopped, pulling at his arm. "I can't keep running like this. What if they catch us?" Her voice cracked with the weight of exhaustion and fear. He turned, searching her face for strength he hoped to find. "We won't let that happen," he promised firmly, but doubt hung in the air. The chill of the night seeped into their bones, and Jason could feel his own resolve slipping. They were both pushed to their limits, minds racing with thoughts of what might happen next, and he needed to reclaim the control they had lost. Then, a sudden crack of a branch echoed loudly behind them, and both their heads whipped around. The pursuing voices grew louder, clearer, and Jason gripped Maria's hand tighter. "Run!" The words propelled them forward, hearts pounding with urgency. Trees blurred around them, and Jason prayed they would find some place hidden enough to give them a chance. But as they stumbled through the dark, something caught Jason's eye, a flicker of movement in the shadows ahead. They weren't alone. "Who's there?" Jason shouted, voice trembling yet defiant. Silence, heavy and unyielding, pressed down around them. He could feel Maria's grip tighten as they waited, uncertain if another threat lurked nearby. Their fate felt suspended in that breathless moment. He could only hope that whatever or whoever stood before them would either help or become yet another stumbling block in their desperate race for survival. The shadows shifted, and Jason's heart dropped. The flicker he'd seen turned into a figure stepping cautiously into view. A tall man with shaggy hair and a rough face emerged from the darkness, eyes narrowed like a predator sizing up his prey. Jason's instincts screamed danger. "Get behind me!" He barked at Maria, shifting into a protective stance. "Wait! Please," the stranger called out, hands raised in a gesture of peace. "I'm not here to hurt you." Jason didn't lower his guard. "Who are you?" he demanded, scanning the surrounding trees for more threats. "My name's Alex," he said, his voice steady but quiet. "You don't want to be out here. They're looking for you." That made Jason's breath catch. "You know who's chasing us?" "All too well," Alex replied, glancing nervously over his shoulder. "I saw them coming. You need to trust me. I can help you." "Help us how?" Maria's voice emerged, fragile but edged with curiosity. "There's a safe place nearby, a cabin. We can hide there until it's clear." He took a half-step closer, avoiding sudden movements. Jason exchanged a quick glance with Maria. There were still 1,000 questions swirling in his mind, but the desperation, the urgency of their current situation overrode them. "Lead the way," he said, his voice firm. Alex turned and started walking, slow but steady. They followed, hearts racing. Every rustle of leaves sent tremors through Jason's body, and he could sense Maria's fear rising alongside their pulse. "Why would you help us?" Maria asked, her voice faint against the stillness of the night. Alex paused briefly, glancing back. "I know what those men are capable of. I've seen it firsthand. They hurt people, especially women and children. I can't just stand by and do nothing." Jason felt a surge of gratitude mix with his unease. They were still taking a risk by trusting him, but hope ignited a small flame in his heart. "How far is this cabin?" "Not far. Just keep up," Alex replied, moving ahead again. They ducked under low branches, stumbling over roots as the forest became denser. Jason caught the faint trail of moonlight against the ground, and for a moment, he felt a flicker of optimism. Maybe help was near after all. Suddenly, behind them, a voice barked. "This way!" Panic surged through him. "Run!" Jason shouted again. They dashed forward, following Alex, terror spurring them on as the distant sound of shouts grew louder. They burst through a thicket and emerged into a small clearing. In its center stood the cabin, its dim lights flickering like a beacon of hope. "Quick!" Alex urged, eyes scanning the dark trees. "Inside!" They raced up the steps, and Jason pushed Maria ahead, scrambling inside after her and slamming the door shut. Panting, they huddled together in the dim light, the reality of their narrow escape settling heavily within that small wooden space. Jason pressed his ear to the door, heart still racing. The voices outside were still searching, but the sounds were immobilizing, a reminder of the danger that still lurked nearby. "Will they find us?" Maria whispered, voice trembling. "We've got to stay quiet," Jason replied, trying to keep his voice steady even as concern pricked at his mind. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from the door. Jason turned, eyes wide. What was that? The pounding grew louder, an insistent demand that made the cabin tremble. He turned to Alex, panic etched on his face. "Do they know we're here?" "I don't know," Alex admitted. "They might just be trying to scare us out." Just then, a sharp crack splintered the door, and they all jumped back. "Stay back!" Jason shouted, instinctively stepping in front of Maria. The door held for now, but the urgency in Jason's heart swelled. He understood they were on the brink of a confrontation that had been waiting to erupt, and whatever lay beyond that door could change everything for them. Would they have the strength to fight back, or would the darkness finally close in around them? Jason's heart raced as the sound of the door cracking echoed in the cabin, a stark reminder of the danger lurking just outside. He pressed his back against the rough wooden wall, adrenaline coursing through his veins. Maria gripped his arm, fingers digging in as she searched his eyes for reassurance. "Shoo! Stay quiet," he urged, his voice low yet firm. He scanned the cramped room. The flickering lantern cast shadows dancing against the walls, but there was nothing else to distract from the pounding heartbeat of fear. "Alex, what do we do?" Maria's eyes darted to the window, wide with terror. "I need something to barricade that door," Jason said, feeling a spark of determination igniting within him. "We can't just sit here." Alex nodded, his brow furrowing. "There's a table. If we can push it against the door, it might hold." Quickly, they moved to the small, rickety table standing defiantly in the corner, its surface rough with age. Together, they heaved it toward the door, gritting their teeth as the sounds of persistent banging grew more frantic outside. "I can hear them whispering," Maria breathed, panic edging into her voice. "What are they saying? Are they coming in?" "Just breathe, Maria," Jason said, his gaze piercing through the gloom. "We'll be okay. We have to believe that." It was a mantra, a promise to himself as much as to her. Finally, they shoved the table against the door, bracing themselves against it with their weight. Jason could feel the vibrations through the wood, an ominous warning that time was short, and that the threat was very real. "What if they have weapons?" Maria whispered, her voice trembling. "They don't know we're in here, not yet," Alex replied, a hint of steel in his voice. "If they come in, they'll be surprised." A chilling silence followed, interrupted only by uneven breaths. Jason strained to hear any movement outside. His instincts flared, heightened by the tension. "Why are they doing this?" Maria's voice broke, a tear tracing down her cheek. "What do they want with us?" "It doesn't matter," Jason replied, trying to keep his voice resilient. "We're going to protect each other. That's all that matters now." But deep within him, uncertainties gnawed. Could he truly protect them? He'd just been a single dad trying to move on, not a guardian against monsters in the night. Suddenly, the door shook violently, rattling their makeshift barrier. "Stay back!" Jason shouted, pushing himself against the door with all his strength. It held for a moment, but louder thuds followed, each one threatening to break through their fragile defense. Then, a cracking sound broke through the din. Jason's heart sank as a splintering noise echoed in the room. "They're getting in." He fired a frantic look at Alex. "We can't let them." Before he could finish, the door swung open with a deafening crash. 3 imposing figures stood silhouetted against the light behind them, menacing and powerful. Jason's heart dropped as they stepped into the cabin, eyes glinting with predatory intent. "Surprise!" one of them sneered, advancing toward them. Jason felt the weight of despair flood his chest, but in that moment, he also felt a surge of something else, a boiling determination rising from deep within. "Back down!" he roared, stepping forward instinctively, ready to fight. But could he really stand against them? Was he prepared to protect the 2 people he cared for against such raw violence? Time seemed to slow as he braced himself, knowing whatever came next could change everything. Would courage or fear rule the night? Jason's heart thumped in his ears as he faced the 3 figures looming before him. Their mocking smirks amplified the dread clawing at him. But even in that terrifying moment, the thought of Maria and the kids pushed him forward. He had to protect them. That was non-negotiable. "Get behind me!" he shouted, positioning himself defensively. The instinct to shield those he loved stirred within him, a fire igniting against the chilling blanket of their threat. The lead man laughed, a harsh sound that dripped with contempt. "What do you think you could do? You're just a dad playing hero." "Enough!" Jason barked, surprising even himself with the heat in his voice. He was no hero, but he wouldn't let fear choke him either. With a deep breath, he gathered every ounce of courage. "You don't get to hurt anyone here. Not Maria, not the kids." His heart raced. In that moment, he made a choice: he wouldn't back down. He had come too far, risked too much. This was the point of no return. As the men advanced, Jason's adrenaline surged. He understood they saw him as weak, but he wouldn't give them the satisfaction of fear. "You think this is a game?" he growled. "You're wrong. This is our life." In a flash, the lead thug lunged at him. Time slowed. Jason ducked just in time, adrenaline coursing through his veins as he grabbed a nearby fallen branch. With a swift motion, he swung it toward the man's legs, sending him sprawling to the ground. Shock rippled through the remaining 2. "Run!" Jason yelled to Maria and Alex. "Get to the back. Now!" They hesitated only a moment, but Jason could see their resolve harden, determination igniting something fierce inside them. He faced the remaining 2 because he knew what had to be done. "Get out of here. Go!" Maria urged Alex, who grabbed her hand, and together they fled toward the back. Jason focused on the 2 still standing men. Anger fueled his stance, grounding him as he stood against them. They hesitated, eyes flitting between their fallen comrade and Jason. "You think you can take us on?" one sneered, reaching for something tucked behind his belt. But Jason wouldn't wait. He lunged at the nearest man, the world's danger narrowing to nothing but the space between them. Their bodies crashed, raw force colliding with sheer determination. Jason pushed hard, drawing from every ounce of strength, forcing the aggressor backward. He could feel himself breaking, but the adrenaline fueled him. He couldn't let them win. Just as he grappled the man, a loud shout echoed from outside. They had company. The sound of cars and voices grew louder, busy intersections and neighborhood chatter mixed with shouts. The other thug glanced back, eyes wide with fear. "Get out!" he shouted, as they turned to flee. Jason felt the tide shift, heated anger melting beneath a surge of cautious triumph. Just as he glanced outside, relief flooded through him. Local authorities arrived, lights flashing, sirens erupting with urgency. The men bolted, scrambling toward the back door. In the chaotic chase, Maria and Alex lingered uncertainly, unsure of what was happening, witnessing the shift unfold before them. "Stay back!" Jason bellowed again, trying to muster a force that would keep them safe. "They can't get past you." In a split-second decision, Alex stepped forward, clenching his jaw, recognizing that they were all stepping into something bigger than any of them had imagined. "Hey!" he shouted, rallying their courage back. "We're stronger together. These guys want to destroy families. They can't understand what we have. Stand firm." Unbelievably, the force of their resolve clung to Jason like armor. He could see the hesitation in their aggressors' eyes as they came face to face with the burgeoning sense of unity between the three of them. With the police now arriving, Jason felt the emergence of hope, a bond forged through fear and strength. He would not let this night define them, nor would he let it lead to despair. As the authorities gave chase, he turned to Maria and Alex, who stood united behind him. "Let us get out of here. We're moving forward." Jason felt the weight of their survival resting firmly on his shoulders, but for the first time, it didn't feel burdensome. It felt powerful, a shared dream of hope against injustice. They moved as one, stepping into the light. Freedom awaited, filled with laughter, love, and the sweet taste of triumph against the darkness. Together, they forged ahead beyond fear, beyond doubt, toward a future they would shape together. And that night, stood not just a single dad, but a family reborn, ready to reclaim their lives. Now, more than ever, they knew the bonds that held them were unbreakable. If you've been inspired by Jason's journey, don't just sit on the sidelines, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, comment your reactions and feelings about the ending, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. True fans like you understand the importance of standing together. Don't wait not even one more second to share.